Our elderly neighbor asked us to watch her dog while she was in rehab.
We did.
Fed him, bathed him, walked him. She came back, took him, and said nothing. A month later, I got served. She was suing for trespassing. I called her son, confused. His answer was just 3 words. She never left. We live just outside of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Quiet little street, 10 houses on the block. One way in, one way out. Everybody's got a fence, a lawn that looks halfway decent, and a car that's a few years older than it should be. You'd call it middle class if you were being generous. My wife and I moved in 4 years ago after I got laid off from the plant and decided we'd downsize. Smaller mortgage, better neighbors. That was the pitch. We kept to ourselves mostly, but you get to know people just by being outside. You wave. You nod. Maybe you help someone lift a box or move a trash bin. That's how it was with Edna Clark. Lived 2 doors down, end of the block. Little white dog named Bixby that barked nonstop. I used to call him the mayor because he acted like he ran the whole street. Edna was old. Not just elderly, I mean old. Thin arms, big glasses, that kind of soft, wrinkled skin that looks like paper. She'd shuffle to the mailbox in slippers and talk like she was out of breath even if she wasn't moving. But she was polite. Sharp sometimes. Could remember my name even when I'd forgotten I'd told her. So one Saturday morning, I'm raking leaves out front, and she comes walking up. Not slow like usual, more anxious. She had this look in her eyes, like something wasn't right. She told me she was going to rehab. Said she'd slipped in the shower and twisted her hip, and they were sending her to some rehab facility in Broken Arrow for a couple weeks. She didn't trust boarding places for dogs, said Bixby had a sensitive stomach. Asked if we'd take care of him. It felt sudden, but I didn't question it. She handed me a house key and a handwritten list of instructions. Everything was very specific. Feed Bixby chicken and rice, no dry kibble. Walk him twice a day, once after 8 a.m. and again before 6 p.m. Give him 2 drops of pain meds in the evening food. Don't let him on the leather couch. She also mentioned her son might stop by to check in. I asked if we should expect him. She just kind of waved it off. Said he was busy but had a key too. The first day we went over, the house was how you'd expect an old woman's house to be. Neat but cluttered. TV was left on one of those home shopping networks. Her purse was on the table. Shoes by the front door. It felt like she'd just stepped out. We figured she left in a hurry. We took Bixby. We followed the schedule. I walked him in the mornings. My wife did evenings. He was sweet, surprisingly calm once he got out of that house. After a few days, he stopped barking at everything. We checked the house every day. Fed him, brought in the mail, turned a couple lights on and off. Just enough to make it look lived in. 2 weeks passed. Then 3. We were wondering when she'd be back when we saw her car in the driveway one afternoon. I figured she'd come home without telling us. Maybe forgot. No big deal. Bixby was gone. The key we had no longer worked. She changed the locks. We didn't hear from her. No thank you. No, I'm back. Nothing. I told my wife, well, that's one way to end it. We figured maybe she'd been embarrassed. Or maybe she didn't like how we'd done things. It stung, but we didn't dwell on it. Until about a month later. That's when I got served. At work. A process server came right into the lumberyard and handed me the papers in front of my manager. She was suing us. For trespassing.
For theft.
For removal of personal property and unauthorized entry. The paperwork said we entered her home without permission, removed her pet, and took prescription medication. I was in shock. I went home, showed my wife the documents, and we both sat there like we'd been punched. I dug out the paper with the instructions she'd given us, the one in her handwriting.
The key.
Everything. Then I found the number she gave us for her son, Michael. I called him. He picked up after a few rings. Sounded tired. Maybe drunk. I explained everything. Told him she said she was in rehab. Gave us a key. Gave us instructions. We didn't break in. We fed the dog. We were helping.
He was quiet for a long time.
Then he said, flat, emotionless, She never left. I thought I didn't hear him right. I asked again. He said it again. She never left the house. And before I could say anything else, he hung up. After he hung up, I just sat there holding the phone. I didn't move. My wife was asking what he said, and I couldn't even answer at first. She never left, I finally said. He said she never left. We stared at each other, both trying to make sense of it. But we had her key, my wife said.
She asked us.
She gave us a list. I pulled the list out of the drawer again, looked at the shaky handwriting.
She was gone. We went in.
She wasn't there. Bixby was. I started second-guessing myself. Could she have been in the house the whole time? Hiding? Watching us? It didn't make sense. The lawsuit wasn't going away. We needed a lawyer. I found one through a friend at work. She looked over the documents, read our side of the story, and said one thing right away. Something's off. She asked if we still had the key. We did. She told us to make a copy and give her the original. She filed for a motion to dismiss, claiming we had been given permission. Then she filed a request for discovery to get Edna's medical records from the supposed rehab facility. That's when it started unraveling. There were no medical records. No admission to any rehab center in Broken Arrow. No record of her ever leaving the house. And then, a week later, our lawyer called us in. "You're not going to believe this," she said. She showed us photos taken from a Ring doorbell camera across the street from Edna's house. The neighbor, one we barely knew, had footage. From the entire month we had Bixby. In one of the videos, I'm walking up the driveway to pick up the dog. And in the background, through the front window, you could see her, standing behind the curtain, watching. She was home. Every single time we walked in, she had been inside. The footage showed her stepping out into the backyard when we were in the living room, hiding in the hallway when I brought in his food. She had been in the house the whole time. Our lawyer looked dead serious. "I think she set you up." "But why?" my wife asked. "What for?" And that's when she showed us the other thing. Edna had filed similar suits before. 3 times. All in other towns. All against people she claimed trespassed or stole something after she went to rehab. We weren't her first. We were just the newest. I felt sick. My wife looked like she was about to cry. This sweet, forgetful old lady we thought we were helping, she'd done this before. And worse, she'd gotten away with it. Our lawyer said the prior cases were settled quietly. Small claims. The people just paid the fines or made deals to avoid court. Nobody pushed back hard enough to expose it. She knows how to work the system, the lawyer said. She counts on people being too embarrassed or too broke to fight. But we weren't backing down. We pulled everything together. The video footage. The note she wrote. The dog's vet records showing she authorized the medication. I even had a text from her, just one, confirming the drop-off time when she gave me the key. It was short, just "thanks, key under mat," but it was something. Our lawyer filed a counterclaim, accusing her of fraud, intentional emotional distress, abuse of process. That's when things escalated. A week after we filed, someone threw raw chicken in our front yard. Bixby had always been picky, but our dog, who never gets into anything, nearly ate a whole piece before I caught him. I checked our security footage. No clear face, but I recognized the outline. It was Edna's son, Michael. I called the police, but they wouldn't do much. Said unless he trespassed or caused damage, they couldn't press charges. Then the letters started. Handwritten notes left in our mailbox. No stamp, no envelope. One said, "You broke in. You'll pay." Another just said, "We see you." And one had a photo of Bixby from our backyard, dated from the second week we were watching him. That one chilled me. It meant they were watching us the whole time. We told the lawyer. She told us to start documenting everything. Dates, times, even noises at night. That's when I noticed the old car parked down the block every other evening. Same one. Faded red Toyota. Same dent on the back bumper. It wasn't anyone's on the street. I walked by it once, slowly. Peeked through the windshield. There was a notepad on the passenger seat. I couldn't see what it said. The next day, it was gone. A few days later, I was at the grocery store, picking up dog food, when a man stepped in front of me in the parking lot. Balding, tall, heavy arms. I'd never seen him before. He leaned in and said quietly, "Drop the case."
Just like that.
Then he walked off.
No threats. No yelling.
Just those words. Calm, like a warning. I told the lawyer again. She started looking into Edna's history more deeply. That's when she found something that made her face go white. There was a second name tied to Edna's property deed. A man named Frank Willows. Not her husband. Not her son. No known relation. But this man, Frank, had filed for bankruptcy 6 times. He had a string of small claims lawsuits in different counties, most involving property disputes or caretaking fraud. Turns out he and Edna used to live together in another state, in Michigan. And there were rumors, not proof, but rumors that he coached people on how to pull these scams. Fake injury, convince a neighbor to help, sue them, settle, repeat. And suddenly it made sense. Edna wasn't confused or lonely. She was running a con. We won the case. Judge threw it out. But it didn't feel like a win. No apology. No charges. Just silence. She still lives 2 doors down. Bixby still barks. And sometimes when I take our trash out at night, I see her lights on through the curtains, and I wonder if she's watching, waiting, looking for the next person kind enough or dumb enough to say yes.